Hello everyone, it is the me, GamePango21, and today we are going to be looking at a man by the name of Lord X Law. Now, this person came onto my radar because he continuously shows up in my shorts page, and I decided to check out a little bit of his content. And he seems to be a very prolific shorts creator who I am thinking has some pony-esque qualities. Now, I'm fairly certain that this is more middling than anything else, but some of his more recent videos seem to be leaning heavily into pooping on the PlayStation, pooping on the Xbox people, and not necessarily being more nuanced and full of other stuff. So there is a few videos that we're going to be looking at here today. I'm going to try to keep this short, but you know how I tend to rant, unfortunately. But this first video that we are going to be looking at is one that I kind of agree with certain points on, and we'll get into that in the actual video. It's called Stop Defending Starfield.
Starfield is going to be the most disappointing game of 2023, and you need to stop defending it. Stop overhyping average games. This game would have been great if it released in 2016 before No Man's Sky and Destiny 2 came out, but those games have been out for a long time, and they've already done what Starfield is trying to do. And there is no excuse for why Starfield needs to be locked at 30 frames per second on the most powerful console in the world.
Okay, so the most powerful console in the world, 30 FPS thing, indefensible. I agree with you there, 100%. Where I disagree with you is you comparing it to Destiny and No Man's Sky. See, No Man's Sky, right, is a survival space game. Survival space exploration game. Not even really in the same genre. Whereas Starfield is more of an action RPG. But then what about Destiny? Isn't that also an action RPG? No, it's not. It's more on the kin to, say, Fallout, I would say. The Fallout 76. Because it's a multiplayer game that has elements of first-person shooting, but also has, like, cool space powers. And that's really the only difference that sets them two apart. They're not really the same genre. They're the same subgenre of an overarching bigger genre, but no. And I hate how people have compared them in the same vein. Like, yeah, certainly they're comparable, but it's the same thing that's someone else brought up where it's like, oh, you don't even have ship combat in Destiny, and even in No Man's Sky, that ship combat is different. And again, that stuff isn't. It's not the same. That's what I'm getting at here. It's not the same genre. It's not the same understanding of it. And those two games don't do the same thing because it doesn't scratch the Bethesda RPG itch, which is what it actually is scratching here. So no, they didn't do it better. They just did it differently. And they did it so differently that it's not the same genre anymore, if you're following me on that context, so.
Are you out of your fucking mind, Bethesda? Your games are not known for their graphical fidelity. They're always buggy at launch, they always look like shit, and they always run like shit. Who the fuck do you think I am to fall for that lie again? Stop meat writing Todd Howard and Bethesda. The game looks average at best, and you need to accept that. Stop letting people feed you bullshit because they tell you bullshit with a straight face.
Again, I agree with that last bit. The last bit of don't let people feed you bullshit. And the last bit of also don't be like meat writing Bethesda because they're making a pretty average game. Absolutely. Overhyping games is a big problem. At least I feel like it is in the gaming industry. But if you are going to talk down, right? If you are going to talk down Starfield, let me ask you to do the same for Spider-Man 2, right? Because Spider-Man 2, in my opinion, while it doesn't look like shit, it looks like a slight upgrade. Not the biggest leap, but it's noticeable. It also, to me, right, feels like it, and it looks like the same gameplay as the first game. Which is not the worst thing in the world. Believe you me, I am a Call of Duty player and the president of the FPS Trash Taste Club. So, Absolutely. Go ham on me in the comments. I fucking enjoy trash, garbage shooters, and you can't stop me. But my thing is, if you are saying that Starfield is mid and that you should stop overhyping that, then here's my rebuttal to you. Stop overhyping Spider-Man 2, right? Because it's a sequel to a game that was fairly good. Not gonna lie, I would say it's probably in the high 8 and 8.5 range. Absolutely a little bit better than Starfield. But it's the same game. Get what I'm saying at here? If you're telling me that they have not moved past the same game that they released at was it the launch? I don't even know when Spider-Man 1 was launched on. Was it a launch title for the PlayStation? I forget specifically. But so if you're telling me to manage my expectations for a game that was a little bit over 8 years old, or for like a game that hasn't seemed to move past something that's 8 years old, right? Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man 1, the Insomniac game, came out in 2018. That was 5 years ago. Okay? And you're telling me in 5 years they haven't implemented enough changes in my book. You're saying, oh, this game would have been good back in 2016. 2018, Spider-Man, the first one came out in 2018. And it's like a sequel. So you're telling me, right, that Sony isn't overhyping their fucking shit? Are you following what I'm saying here? Anyway, let's move on to the next thing that I wanted to do, and that is Starfield in 60 seconds.
Wait, why can't I loot this guy's armor and leave his body half naked on the floor? I thought this was a Bethesda game. What the fuck? Why are all these planets so fucking empty? And where's the local map?
Okay, both of those are really funny, and I understand the local map thing, so yeah.
Well, I guess I'll be the one to say it. The companions in this game are fucking terrible. These are the worst followers in any Bethesda game.
I mean, that's more of your opinion, to be honest. If you don't like the characters in the games, I can kind of see why, but I was very invested in a lot of those companions. They got in my way a fuck ton, absolutely. Like, fucking, like, Jesus Christ. But still.
I've ever played. Why is almost every NPC in this game a generic nobody with wide eyes like Gollum from Lord of the Rings? Like, my brother and Howard, what are you staring at? What the fuck? You don't even have a name. It just says citizen. Even NPCs in Skyrim all had names. So are we all gonna act like Bethesda didn't just steal Mass Effect 1's plot? Like, Mass Effect 1 starts with Shepard finding an ancient artifact and getting a vision, and then going off on his quest to find an ancient society, and that's also how Starfield starts? Like, what the fuck? That's fucking plagiarism, bro.
No, it's not, because here's the thing. It's not even the same thing, because at the end of the day, no. The difference being is that in Starfield, you're not necessarily looking for, like, an ancient city in that context. You are looking for relics to complete an object that you have no idea what the fuck it's there for. So I'm just... Jesus Christ. Next up we have Starfield, the most overhyped game of 2023. Let's get into this.
So Starfield is out on early access, and I'm pretty far into the game, and honestly, it really hasn't impressed me that much. IGN and GameSpot, they both gave the game a 7 out of 10, which I kind of agree with. The combat is really dull, the story is predictable, and the game is just kind of lackluster. It hasn't really blown me away at all. Now, a lot of Xbox players are giving the reviewers shit because they think the game is a 10 out of 10 and a masterpiece. And it's like, guys, do you even remember what the word masterpiece means anymore?
I mean, that's fair. Again, I don't disagree with a lot of... I don't disagree with all of his points. There's a few points here and there that I really have to call out in specific context, and there's reasons for it, obviously. But, I mean, calling this game a masterpiece. If you're calling this game a masterpiece, you're kind of an idiot. I'm just going to be honest here, Chief. You're kind of an idiot. But overall, again, I don't disagree. Where I disagree is I think this next bit here, but I don't know because I forget what I saw. So we'll continue watching as if I haven't seen it.
Like, a masterpiece is a game that comes once in a lifetime, like the perfect game. You're telling me that you think Starfield is on the same level as other 10 out of 10 games like Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring, The Witcher 3, Skyrim? You're telling me you think Starfield can compete with fucking Elden Ring?
Yeah, again, compare it to Elden Ring, the game of the year, 2023 stuff. So, whoop-de-doo. I mean, at the end of the day, again, I agree. Don't overhype this game. That's what people were doing. And to me, it's just, I don't know. It just, again, this feels like the same sort of argument that most Sony people use. And again, this is why I don't understand whether or not he's a Sony guy. Maybe he's a more reasonable Sony person. And I'm willing to accept that. But critique is still critique. And yeah, this is meant for jokes and for funnies. So yeah, next up we have Xbox players when Spider-Man 2 releases.
I know you're sad because you bought this filthy Xbox just to play Starfield, and now that you beat it, you really want to play Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. I know this. I got your back, bro. Look, I found the perfect way for you to play that game, okay? Look, check it out. Look, Kenny, Spider-Man 2 on the original Xbox. Isn't this cool, Kenny? In this game, Spider-Man is a pizza delivery boy. Movie license games are the best, huh?
Oh, boy. Where to begin with this? I think I'm going to just show about half of this because it's just the same joke. Where it's like, oh, there's Spider-Man 2. We have Spider-Man 2 at home. But look, it's disingenuous to say that this whole thing isn't, like, there isn't a way to enjoy it. And look, again, this makes you come off as someone who is a pony. And is just upset or something like that. Or at least, again, if this is a joke, which I'm assuming it is, I'm going to assume, unless proven otherwise, that this is a joke for comment and rage baity type purposes. If I'm being very clear here, that game kinda, you can also emulate it, by the way. Or, again, wait for emulation of the new PlayStation games if you really want to. Or you can just wait for it to be ported to PC. Or you can play the Spider-Man and then Miles Morales. Both of those games are still perfectly fine to be played on PC. Like, again, it's weird, but we continue, I guess.
Huh? What, you don't like this game? That's okay, I got another one for you. Look, check this one out. This one's even better. Look. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 for Xbox 360. Look at those graphics. This game truly is amazing, huh, Kenny? Maybe you should have just bought a PS5 instead of the Xbox like a fucking peasant. Then you could play the real fucking game.
Wow. Again, it's jokes like that I'm unsure as to whether or not he is or is not a Sony person or a Sony meat writer. It's just so honestly. I was going to look at the fast traveling one, but that's just the basic bitch argument to, like, oh, stuff like that. Oh, it's so good, and just uses the PlayStation, like, footage from it because, again, this is not out yet, and it's one of those things where I don't even want to justify that with responding to it because it's the same argument where Starfield has all these loading screens and it's a next gen title and oh my god, it's really blah 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 blah, and PlayStation, because of its amazing SSD, can just do magic and pull a bunny out of its hat. Jesus Christ. So finally, we'll do Xbox versus PlayStation be like, and we'll end it off there. I find it interesting how he uses like the Halo Infinite campaign specifically, and not saying that like the actual Halo game, like the multiplayer, which is what majority of people play, is actually free to play. So yeah. Plus, again, all of those games that you just saw right there, you can play them for $10. Redfall, I'm gonna be honest, yeah, mid game, did not want to do it. Again, a lot of people, some people will say like, and I'm gonna rant on the Xbox people in there. Look, if you think that Redfall is a good game, no. Redfall is not a good game because it was made stupidly. And again, I agree with the developers that the game should have been canned because it had no direction to go for. And Microsoft doing fucking nothing makes sense here as to why I don't like the game and why I think that the game didn't need to exist. It should have been canned, 100%. It's stupid. It was dumb. It was upsetting that game it came out. But the other ones were fine. Again, Starfield launched really good and is a solid 8 out of 10. You said the game was an 8 out of 10. Why are you making this sort of joke that this whole generation for them has been mid? And not bring up, say, Hi-Fi Rush, which was actually a really top-rated good game. Was that released this year? I forget specifically. Yeah, it goes to show you how memorable that was, but I remember people getting in a fucking tizzy about that game at the beginning of the year, and it dropped literally the day it was announced, so what the hell? But let's see what we got here for the PlayStation beat like. Shit. I love how disingenuous this argument is because I can literally go through each of those games and show you why this argument is freaking dumb. So let's break it down point by point. We have Spider-Man 2, not released yet, but it still looks to be okay, mid at best in my personal opinion, more of the same thing from Spider-Man 1, and will possibly also be ported to the PC eventually. We then also have Final Fantasy 16, which I think was announced to have a port eventually, maybe in the next 6 months or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a freaking horse whisperer, but I think that it was that they might have renegotiated the contract to be more of a timed exclusive than anything. I don't know. I don't keep on the notion of the games. I personally don't like it, but that's that. Next up, we got God of War Ragnarok, where it might come to PC eventually via a port because they ported the original God of War there, and they would be stupid to not port over the God of War Ragnarok sequel because that will make them boatloads of money. Moving on, we then have Horizon Forbidden West, which actually did get an announcement for a eventual PC port coming out, I think, by the end of this year, or maybe early or mid next year, from what I remember being at leak, and people got upset about that. So yes, absolutely. Do that. Last of Us Part 1 also did get a PC port. That PC port was a fucking garbage at the same time, but it still got a PC port nonetheless. And why are you also bringing up The Last of Us Part 1 again? Like, that game has been remade so many times, it's freaking ridiculous. And finally, we have then Demon's Souls. That one actually is a pretty okay understanding one, but I think we can still get it on PC here. I forget specifically if it's still available in there. Not the remastered version, obviously, but, you know, whatever. Moving on, we then have Spider-Man Miles Morales, which, why would you even, like, do that again? That one came out, I think, in 2017? No, wait, hold on. Because this one came out in 2018. I think that one came out in between, so I'm thinking 2020-ish, till 2 years old. Oh, no, whatever. It also has a PC port, by the way. And finally, we then have Genshin Impact, which is a phone game. I don't get why people on Sony's side, or the Sony people, use Genshin Impact as a selling point for the console. You can get it on your phone for free. The only reason why they seem to tout this is because it's not available on Xbox for some reason. And I know that that's a mark against that, but I'm fairly certain it's contract bound for some reason to not come to Xbox. And I don't know why. Maybe they came over with a fat stack of cash and said, here, port it to us, don't port it to Xbox, we will pay you, yada, yada, yada. I would not be surprised. Overall, yeah, I think I'm done with this. I was going to look at one more of his videos, but we're already at the 20-minute mark, and I don't want to go over too much of this context. Overall, do I think that this dude's a Sony pony? Maybe a little bit. Maybe he has some other tendencies. Maybe he's more like Reforged, where he just says some of the more popular stuff initially. But again, what do I know? He has apparently like 16. Yeah, he has like 66K subscribers and releases these shorts videos. So whoop-de-doo. Look, am I a bit salty here? Maybe a little bit of that number. But at the same time, if you're going to make arguments like that, you're going to have to expect someone to come along and literally try to basically critique every single one of your arguments. Overall, do I hate you as a person, Mr. Lord? Absolutely fucking not. You are a good content creator and you have some very creative ideas. I'm gonna be honest, Chief. You got some good spark in you, and you got your creative notion, and you can tell some of the haters to go shove it. I can respect that. I respect that. 100%. When you make videos like this, again, bad take is a bad take. And I've critiqued a lot of people that I actually respect a lot. Look at Griffin. In any case, I think that'll about do it for me ranting into a microphone for the next 20 minutes of your life. If you like what it is that I do, please support me on Patreon. Please support me on all the other stuff. Links to everything down in the description below. Gumroad and other sorts of nonsense available there. Next track and next mixtape are coming out possibly next month, including some of the Halloween tracks that I've been working on for my music things. Keep an eye on the Bandcamp for that. Overall, my name is GamePenguin21. Thank you all so much for watching, and a peace. Oh.
You wanna get away?